Hey friends, welcome back and happy Wednesday. I hope you all had a great week so far. If you're new around here, welcome. I hope you will consider hitting that subscribe button to join our crafty little family. Before I get started today, I want to take a quick second to thank Army Sun and Tech Hubby. They were able to take apart my computer and diagnose the problem. And thank you also to Amazon guy who did next day delivery on the part that we needed, and so my computer is out of intensive care. I'm so thankful for that so that I can keep creating these videos like this for you all. Now I went back to the Dollar Tree this week and I looked through some bags. They had a great selection of gift bags and I was able to find some really nice ones to create these mini albums with. And so I went ahead and created this beautiful sweet little mini album with those bags and some stash paper. You know I love to go through my stash. There is also a sticker here that I picked up from the Dollar Tree that coordinates perfectly. So my little album here has large full-size pages and tuck spots. So if you want to include pictures or mementos that you don't want to adhere to the book, you can just simply tuck them in there and they'll be very secure. For my book today, I have 3 sections and each one has the pocket on the side. So I was able to include some inserts for that. And there is additional space here as well, so you can really fill this mini up when you finish it with your pictures and memories. And there's lots of combinations of those pattern papers, so they're similar yet different, and it's all finished nicely on the back and the side, so it all gets tied up securely here with this beautiful trim. And this was so easy and fun to make, so stick with me and we'll make it together. If you've been with me for a while, you will remember that I recently posted a tutorial of a mini album created with what I thought was going to be a paper bag. I ordered these from Amazon and they were much larger than what I was expecting, but we still had a great time creating the album out of that. And then we did a second video where we showed some simple alterations so that we could show how versatile it could be. And so that really got me thinking that I wanted to check out my local Dollar Tree and see what they had available. And I did find that they had bags in 3 different sections of the store. So the original section would be the grocery aisle, and they have the paper goods there. They had the lunch bags in craft, and I skipped on those because I find that craft is just a little bit more challenging to work with, and I also already had some at home. So then the second place I looked was in the party favor section. So you would fill these little bags up with treats for your guests, and they had quite a few different colors. I picked 3 that I thought would be fun. This is the size that I thought I was getting when I picked up that white lunch bag. This is more of a standard size, maybe even just a little bit smaller. They are not glossy. This is the packaging, so I think it will be nice to adhere things to it. And you get quite a few in this package, so these will go a long way. And like I said, they had more colors available, so you probably will find something that will coordinate with what you want to create. And the third place I found bags were, of course, the gift wrap section. And so these have a craft core to them, and they're solid color on the outside. They're very thick and very sturdy. Originally, they had the little handles attached to them, and I just removed those carefully. I'll go ahead and save these for future projects. But because it was more of a thicker, nicer paper that it's created with, I was able to score it without cracking the side. And so I went ahead and scored this. The original size of this bag is 5.5 high by 8.25 wide, and they came in a pack of 3. So I'm using 3 for my project today. I think it would be very easy to add additional sections when you create your own, if you just add a little bit extra depth to your spine. So I'm going to score mine directly in half, so that makes it 4 1/8. And I did think that score was nice to get a good crisp edge there. And so I'm going to consider each of these a section. Remember I said I have 3, so I'm going to join those together to make our project today. So I think it will be a lot easier to go ahead and finish each section before we add them to each other so that we can move the bags around and get them more situated. So I'm just picking my paper, and this collection was the Mr. collection from Authentique Paper. Yep, this is more stash paper. I love finding projects that I can make and use up collections that I have already on hand. So this piece of paper winds up to be 5 3/8 high by 4 inches wide. I cut mine from a strip, so I was able to get all of these portions out of one strip. And the second piece is going to be 5 3/8 high by 2.5 inches wide. I'm going to tuck that portion right underneath that flap. So our folded section is going to be more of a tuck spot than a pocket because it's not going to be very deep. But that's nice when you have pictures or mementos that you just want to tuck inside and have them secure. You don't want to glue them down to the pages. And so this is going to be a great way to include some pictures and additional flat mementos or keepsakes. So one issue I had with this particular design, of course, when you mass produce something, you're going to get a little bit of unevenness, and that is how it turned out for this. It was significantly narrower here. So I'm going to forego my border on the top. I didn't cut it so that it would fit in the center. I'm going to have my border on the bottom on the outside, and then my paper will come right up to the top. Now I have put a little piece of double-sided adhesive here, and I didn't go all the way to the edge because remember we're going to have a border. And my third piece that will finish the flap is going to be 5 3/8 by 2 3/4, and I have put my adhesive all along the bottom and then most of the way up. I left about 1/4 of an inch, so whatever sticks up over the pocket will not accidentally adhere the pocket together. And then the top adhesive here is on the pocket already. So I'm just going to line this up so that I can center it. And it was just a little bit uneven. I think this is a project where you're just going to embrace the imperfections and be okay with it. So this was one strip of paper, and then for the pocket I just flipped it over and used the B side so that I know it would coordinate because they already came together. So we're going to consider this one section, and I'll join these together, but we're only going to put adhesive on the outside. We need room here in the back for these to be filled up. And I have prepared my other two sections already, and you see how I have that just adhered on one side. So I'm going to join these together, and this is going to be our first section. So let me take the double-sided adhesive off, and we're going to go for that 2 glue combo just so that we'll be very confident that this will stay glued together. And because they're all the same size, when you fold them, just want to get that lined up, and you do want to make sure you have a good contact and good pressure while that sits up. So if you have a clip or a heavy book you can sit on that, you could just go ahead and clamp that together and let it sit up. But I'll just go ahead and work along on the actual cover now while this is setting up. So like I said, I did want to have a nicer, sturdier cover and finished edges, and that is what we have for this. So this is going to be heavy cardstock already. I just happen to have some in blue, and the measurement is 5 1/2 by 9 1/4. I scored it at 4 1/8. And then also at 5 1/8. So our spine is going to be 1 inch. If you decide your project could use some additional sections, just add space here, but leave the outside measurements the same, because remember your bag folded in half was 4 1/8 inches wide. So I have some additional pieces here because I want to have a nice finished edge on the side here. So these pieces are 5 1/2 high by 8 1/4 wide, and I scored it at 4 1/8. I put my adhesive on both sides, but I'll pull from one side only to begin. And then we'll just go ahead and add our 2 glue combo. I'm used to making all this before I add the pattern paper, so it's a little bit backwards of what I'm used to, but I think this will just be a lot easier to get all of these adhered. So I'll just go ahead and do that and set my page onto it up against that score line. I'll keep it nice and straight and even across the bottom and the side, and I can pull the additional tape from this side as well, and then add in my second glue and fold it over. Then I will do the same for the other side. Okay, so now our cover is done and we've got all those nice layers of extra thick cardstock, so it will be very sturdy. I'm going to bring the center of the book back over, and you can see I have already added my adhesive to the top. Remember, we're only putting that adhesive on one side of the page, and we're going to go for 2 glues again. And I'm just going to join these 2 together and keep them straight along the outside edge and the top and the bottom. So you do want to put a little pressure on that and have a good contact while that glue sets up. I can go ahead and hold those down as I work along, and I'll pull the tape off of the back side now. Add our Tombow, and then flip it over and line this up on this side as well. Now just press that in for a bit while everything is setting up. I've got my pieces cut for the outside as well, and the pattern paper for this is going to be the same as those full-size pages inside. So it's 5 3/8 of an inch high by 4 inches wide. And I'm just going to add this here. I'm also going to cover the spine in that same pattern paper, so everything coordinates. So now we can work on the cover. First thing you want to do is bring in your trim. If you want to use a ribbon closure, as I do, this is a light navy delicate stitch satin from a Really Reasonable Ribbon. I think this works really well. I think the dark navy would have been too dark, and so this just really coordinates with that paper collection. And I'll cut off a generous length here. Use a bit of tape to temporarily hold it in place. And we'll capture that trim in between the layers. So here is the base that coordinates with the back and the side. And then I have an inset section as well. This is going to be raised up on some foam spacers, and it's just a layering pattern. I use some of the cardstock that I have for the actual cover, so I know it all coordinates, and that just goes right in the center. Not a lot of room for additional like larger doilies here, but I do have a smaller one cut. This is a die from Gina Marie Designs, and this is a smaller size of a nested set. So I'm just going to add that right to the middle, and then I'll top it with a die cut layer of that additional pattern paper and cardstock. You see not much of that doily will show. So that just helps to break up those busy patterns. So I picked up the set of stickers that I'm using for this book as well at the Dollar Tree, and this particular truck matched the paper collection very well. I'm going to hang on to the rest of these for a different project, but this one will work perfectly just as a small focal image on the front. So originally, this layered sticker had only one foam spacer in the center. I went ahead and added some additional foam spacers so that it would be well supported all the way across, and this will just stick directly on to that circular die cut in the middle. Be anxious to see if they come out with Christmas trucks during the holidays. I think that would be absolutely stunning. Okay, so I do have a couple of small flower sections here. They're not even arrangements, they're just one flower with some foliage. But there's just enough room on the top and the bottom for that one little bit of foliage, some netting, and loopy twine. Yeah, I think creating two smaller arrangements creates a better balance for this book than one large one. So here is the one for the bottom section. I picked a couple of charms as I do and tied them to string so that I can attach them by adhering those strings with hot glue. Remove the excess and then cover those cut strings with a little vintage button. And then there is just room enough on the bottom for a couple of sequins. So we'll put 3 here, and I'll add them with the Tombow. Okay, last but not least for our album, I did want to include some inserts into the sides. So this was another great way to use up that stash paper. Now I have used the thick blue cardstock as a base so that they will be very sturdy. And the measurement for this is 5 inches wide by 4.5 inches high. That way we'll have a little bit sticking out over the top of bags, and that'll make them easier to take in and out. And then the pattern paper is 4 7/8 by 4 3/8. So I just made them with the offcuts as I was working along, and I thought I would alternate them throughout the book so that they have a nice combination of the patterns here. Let's put this one in the front. You'll get space for 2, obviously, because that bag folds up. Putting these here. The next section, let's put the pretty paisley. And then the last section we'll put that last check pattern. So now you can imagine how thick and chunky and sturdy this is with all of those inserts. You can also cut tab tops for these if you want to do that. And you have room in the pocket for additional flat keepsakes and mementos. So you have a lot of potential to fill this up when you finish it. So that's all for our mini album created with the gift bag from the Dollar Tree. If you enjoyed this project, make sure to let me know by leaving me a comment and a big thumbs up. You can find links for all our social media sites in the description below. And if you're not already, I would love for you to subscribe. As always, I'm wishing you a happy and productive day, and I thank you so much for watching. Bye.